Welcome back. All right, continuing on with my season previews. In fact, this is the halfway mark. The Los Angeles Kings, as we're now 16 teams into this playlist. And for the LA Kings, I've opted to, since the players on the board are using the original jerseys from the 80s, at the very least, the original colors. It wasn't the original jerseys. They were different in the 60s than in the 80s. Of course, I got the shield here as the magnet in the upper left-hand corner. The logo they recently changed from, and now their current logo. I think I've got almost every look covered on this board. Now, one look that the LA Kings would like to have this year is as a team that gets past the Edmonton Oilers should they meet again for a fifth straight season. So the question becomes, have they done enough? And picking up Corey Perry might be like the butt of a joke to a lot of people. But him getting to a Stanley Cup final as often as he has, I honestly feel like that is a sign that he's a really good playoff performer. And yes, they've lost in the final when he's gone there every year except for 2007 when he won with the Anaheim Ducks. But he's still a good playoff performer. Now, looking at their top six, the LA Kings have some good scoring in this top six. Fiala, Kopitar, Kempe, all proven scorers. Kopitar, of course, a first ballot Hall of Famer. Then you got Kuzmenko. Kuzmenko looked great after being added by LA from Philadelphia around the deadline. Byfield and Laferriere. Quentin Byfield, there's some pressure on him now. As Kopitar's winding down his career, Byfield is seen as the guy who's going to be the next number one center. So there's some pressure on him to show that he is going to be worthy of that mantle. And it's been to mixed results so far. Their bottom six, Fogle, who had a very good year. Dano. Moore's looking to bounce back a little bit from what was kind of an off-season compared to his previous year. Perry, we know with Perry, the production during the regular season has dropped off, but it has not decreased his game. And bottom six forwards, it's fine if they don't score all the time. Hellenius and the newly added Armia as well in this bottom six. So there's been a couple of minor changes to the forward group, but it's very similar. Now, what's interesting is, and I haven't really changed this from Puckpedia's projections for the lineup, what about Turcotte, though? Turcotte, I thought, had a decent year. Turcotte's never going to end up being like a great top six forward, but he could be a good bottom six forward. And then there's Akil Thomas, who I think has some NHL upside as well. Malott, Logan Brown, added in the offseason. Lee, Ward, Gutman, Pinelli, Greentree, Ziemer, Godin, and Chromiak, also rounding out the depth up front. So for LA, it is a very similar group to the one they had this past season, and now the question becomes, would they be able to beat Edmonton this year, yes or no? I'm going to have to say the default answer is no, because of the last 4 years. Now, the blue line, I think, is underrated. And Mikey Anderson, one of my favorites for a long time, but Drew Doughty at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and say I think he's a little bit underrated. When I did top 20 defensemen and included him, there were a lot of people who didn't feel like that was the right call. I still think Drew Doughty's an excellent defenseman when he's at the top of his game and when he's healthy. Edmondson, Brant Clark. Brant Clark might be one to watch. Although for me, the one to watch is Andrei Kuzmenko. Has to be Kuzmenko for me. The MVP to me is Adrian Kempe. But Kuzmenko, if he can pick up where he left off with this team, they've got themselves a find there. Now, beyond Brant Clark, you've also got Dumoulin and Ceci. So, veteran defensemen. A lot of veteran, a lot of experience here on that blue line. And then you look at the depth players on the defense. You've got Kyle Burrows, you've got Mo Verara, Bolduc, Hicketts, Booth, Dvorak, Saline, and Woolley, rounding out the depth on the blue line. So in terms of the depth on the blue line, I do like the six defensemen that should be out there. Burrows, we know, can fill in and play a number 7 role. Mo Verara has looked decent at the NHL level as well. And then in net, you've got Darcy Kemper coming off of a pretty darn good regular season. He had his struggles in the postseason, but it's against Edmonton. If you're an LA King, you're playing against Edmonton, you might have some struggles. And then you've got Anton Forsberg added from Ottawa. In net, in terms of depth, you got Copley, you've got George, and you've got Portillo. So there's some good depth in net. We'll see how Anton Forsberg does. He had an up-and-down season for Ottawa. He's just going to be the backup. Kemper looking to continue what was a pretty strong season last year, hoping for another strong season this year. Now, looking at their cap space, $2,668,333. So there's still a little bit of cap space here. I do find it interesting as we're halfway through the league now, how many teams still have that cap space. So in the event that a team gets off to a slow start, it's easier to make a move, easier to add players, easier to dump players off. So hopefully we'll see that a little more this season than we have previously in recent seasons. The channel vote, 16% say first or second place, so that's not bad. There's still some optimism. 64% say third or fourth. I'm not entirely surprised by that. They had an excellent season this past year in terms of the regular season numbers. It'll be interesting to see how they follow that up this year. Fifth or sixth, 17% of the vote said fifth or sixth, and 4% of the vote said seventh or eighth, which, once again, I can't see that, but you're always going to get the troll vote for teams when you're doing polls for everybody. So looking at their schedule in October, they play 12 games. 8 of them are on the road. So it's a tough time, and then 7 of 13 in November are on the road. So 15 of their first 25 games are on the road. Now, 2 seasons ago, LA was fantastic on the road. Last season, they were fantastic at home. So maybe they'll be fantastic on the road again. December, 7 out of 13 are at home. January, they play 16 games. Half of those are at home, half of those on the road. In February, they play 6 games. 4 of those are at home. March, they have 13 games, 7 of them away from home. And in April, they have 9 games, which it feels like is high for April. 6 of those 9 games are at home. So busy schedule in January leading up to the Olympic break, but the Olympic break will come along at exactly the right time, I would think, for the Los Angeles Kings. New general manager Ken Holland, clearly in the offseason deciding to go with experienced players that he's brought in, which has made the team, I would think, a little bit older, but maybe that experience helps out when you get to playoff time. Jim Hiller is still the coach. There's been some debate about Jim Hiller's job and the systems he's put in place, but in general, it feels like Hiller is well regarded in terms of coaches in the NHL. So this time I remembered to get the schedule. I did not remember to turn off the air conditioner at the start of the video. Well, I mean, you know, if I don't forget something, it's not a THG video. Anyways, since 2021-2022, the LA Kings 12th in the overall standings, a record of 183 wins, 104 losses in regular time, and 41 losses via shootout or overtime. The top 5 scorers over that time period, Kopitar leads the way because of course he does. 325 games, 94 goals, 184 assists for 278 total points. Adrian Kempe, 318 games, 139 goals, 130 assists for 269 points. Kevin Fiala, 232 games, 87 goals, 118 assists for 205 points. Philippe Deneau, 319 games, 70 goals, 125 assists for 195 points. Trevor Moore, 293 games, 76 goals, 98 assists for 174 points. And like I said, he'll be looking for a bit of a bounce back in terms of goal scoring from this past season, back up to where he was a couple seasons back. Top prospects, a lot of their young players are already in the lineup. But Henry Brustevich, the highest rated prospect that they have, I believe, at this point in time. Brustevich, a fun name to say, so I really hope he makes it. And this season, the LA Kings had a record of 48, 25, and 9. They had some very good long stretches there. I did put them first on the power rankings, and then things kind of fell apart, but they eventually recovered from that. Their scoring leaders this past season, Kempe leading the way in 81 games, 35 goals, 38 assists for 73 points. Kopitar, 81 games, 21 goals, 46 assists for 67 points. Fiala, 81 games, 35 goals, 25 assists for 60 points. Byfield, 81 games, 23 goals, 31 assists for 54 points. And Fogle rounds out the top 5, 82 games, 24 goals, 22 assists for 46 points. The goaltending, it's the Darcy Kemper show. Riddick is out, so of course with Forsberg coming in, that should be a bit of an upgrade over Riddick. Kemper went 31, 11, and 7 with a .922 save percentage. Riddick, tough year, 16, 14, and 2 record, .887 save percentage for Riddick. Portillo went 1-0 in his appearances, .966 save percentage. Copley didn't have a record in the appearance he made and posted a save percentage of .833. Copley still the number 3 goaltender in this organization. unless Portillo has passed him at this point. But either way, Copley probably gets the call up if it's just for a day or two. If it's for an extended period, Portillo might get a look there. So looking at their last 5 playoffs, and I put an Oilers logo on there because the Oilers have kind of owned them. So 2021, the LA Kings did not qualify for the playoffs. And every year since, they have lost in the first round to the Edmonton Oilers. It was in 7 games in 2022, 6 games in 2023, 5 games in 2024, and 6 games this year as well, where I was really rooting for the LA Kings, and I thought maybe this would be the year that they broke through and got past the Oilers. The series started off well enough for them, and then the wheels just fell right off. And so I have my doubts that they'll ever beat the Oilers, at least during this go-around, this era. Now, looking at their numbers this past season as well, the power play, 17.9%. That's 27th overall in the NHL. Their penalty kill, 81.4%. That's 8th overall in the National Hockey League. In terms of goal scoring, they were 14th this past season at 3.04 goals per game. At goals against, they were second, 2.48 goals against per game. One thing with this Jim Hiller coach team, they will not allow very many opportunities. They do play a very defensive style of hockey, and yet they're still in the top half when it comes to goals scored. So they're still finding ways to get that offense. They're finding ways to keep the pucks out of their net as well. They need to find a way to beat Edmonton come playoff time. That really is the key. Like I said, it's the only time I've put an actual team magnet in the playoffs portion because it's the same team every single year. And it's one of those things that I see people saying, well, if we went back to the old format, even in 1 versus 8, we had teams that played each other quite often in the playoffs. It just happens that way. It's not a big deal. But either way, the LA Kings should still be a playoff team this season. Should still be at least top 4, as 80% of the vote has said top 4. I'm aware those numbers add up to 101%. It happens when it's rounding up. But while the optimism of them being in the top 4 is there, I would think that if I asked which round do you think this team gets eliminated in, a first round would probably be the number 1 pick because it's just what we've seen. The LA Kings now are in a position where I don't feel like there's a lot of pressure on them necessarily, but there's also not a lot of expectation, which they should probably wear on their sleeves and be quite outspoken about. Changing that narrative that they're just not quite good enough at playoff time. And the only way to really change that narrative fully is to win at playoff time. So I guess the question I have is this an LA Kings team that's going to break through and stay in the top 4 and maybe win in the playoffs? Or will it be more of the same? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.